his profile, him because he understands the employee issues, and also he has gone through various, certified coaching in USA. So thank you for coming, sir, and we welcome on Tega behalf, and please carry on. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so I'm personally very excited to be here. Thanks, Banu, for the opportunity. Thanks, Rashmi, for all the coordination. I know it took a lot of effort to finally make this happen, and thanks, Mr. Sanjeev, for a wonderful introduction. So, welcome all, and next 75 minutes, we are going to be talking a lot about the whole mental health as a topic, right? As most of you know, as Sanjeev said, my career started in human resources, and I did that for over 23 years, and then I decided to let go that, and then I personally learned a lot about mental health, and I tell a lot of my folks in my conversation that had I known a lot of these things which I'm going to be talking about today, a lot earlier in my career, my human beingness would have been a lot better. My professional side would have been a lot better, right? Everything would have been a lot better, right? But it's never late. It's never late, right? I think, it's wonderful. So I'm going to share a lot of those experiences with all of you. And, I look forward to have a very engaging and interactive session with all of you, right? So I'm going to have I'm expecting a lot of participation from all of you. So I'm hoping, with this crowd, I'm sure there could be a good participation. And I see some of you standing as well. Hope you'll find a seat soon, or I'll make sure that you don't even feel that you're standing. Right? It'll make this session a lot of fun and engaging and learning as well. All right. Thank you. With that, we'll get started. So this is a very, while I put a very generic topic, I don't know if all of you can see the screen here. Okay. If possible, can we turn these two lights if possible? If not, it's okay. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
At least 10 people we can adjust, 10 people can come here.
All right, so we'll get started, and before we get started, let's do a quick breathing exercise. Can we all do that? Okay. I want all of you to sit comfortably. Just breathe in through your nose. You can exhale through your nose, or you can exhale through your mouth by doing this. All right. Just we'll do 4 or 5 breaths. All right. Let's get started. All right, thank you. By the way, this is my IDEX for getting this started, right? Obviously, I'm also very nervous, being here. Just kidding. So this is basically to calm your parasympathetic nervous system, right? Because when we get stressed, right, the last thing we do is remember to breathe, right? I'm sure you've heard several times about breathing, right? Just inhale, just breathe deeply for a few breaths and you'll feel normal. That's because of the whole calming down your parasympathetic nervous system. So we'll talk about a lot of these things from a physiological standpoint, why we do what we do, how it affects our health, all of that we'll talk about in the presentation, right? Mr. Banu was talking about what, but I'm going to cover why and how and what all together here in terms of what are we going to cover today is the most important topic. Why is mental health important, right? Why is it not being given the importance it deserves, right? So we'll talk about that, right? And the other part is most of the problem lands here, right? How does it affect me? I don't even know I'm going through a challenge, right? That is where a lot of people struggle. So we'll talk about that as well. And finally, what can I do? Right? If I find out what is going on with me, what can I do next? That's also most important. So we'll talk about that. And finally, what are some of the takeaways, from this session today? What can I, continue to practice to improve my mental health or keep my mental health at check, right? So we're going to talk about that as well. And finally, we'll have a small Q&A. If anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to answer or share any personal experiences. That is also something we'll do that. Okay. So let's start with a small exercise. Always physical exercise is good, right? It keeps us active, right? So I want all of you to put your hands up if the statement what is going to appear on the screen applies to you. Hold on. No. I'm saying they're already putting their hands up. I said only put your hands up when you see the statement on the screen applies to you. All right, is that clear? So you felt happy in the past week. I'm assuming all the hands will go up, right? All of us would have felt happy at some moment. Okay, great. Okay, and by the way, it doesn't mean that, entire week. At any moment, even for 1 second, you felt happy in the last 1 week, just raise your hand, right? And similarly, did you feel sad during the last 1 week? Of course, all of us do. Okay, all right. What about angry? Of course, angry is the most common, right? We all feel angry all the time. So that is also something we all experienced. Were you all stressed out in the last 1 week at any point? Okay, all right. Glad to see some hands are not going up. Huh? Sorry? Okay. No, I said, was anybody stressed out in the past 1 week at any moment, right? Then raise your hands. Okay. There are some people who are saying they are not stressed out. Glad to see that. Good to see that as well. All right. Okay. In the last 1 week, do you all have thoughts? Of course, all the hands have to go up because as long as we are alive, our mind will produce thoughts and we will experience that. Okay. So, most of the hands went up for most of these statements, right? This is pretty much what mental health is all about. Right? If you are thinking mental health something different, or I'm going to talk about mental health something different, I'm sorry if I'm disappointing you, but this is pretty much what mental health is. Right? Rashmi talked about a little bit in terms of our thoughts, right? Our feelings, our emotions, our behavior. All of that is what is comprising in this particular statement, what I listed here. Right? And just to sum it up, the way you think affects the way you feel affects the way you behave. I'll just repeat it. The way you think affects the way you feel affects the way you behave, right? So if somebody wants to change their behavior, and all of us do, right? All of us want to change our behavior in the long run, we have to start changing our thoughts. And we'll talk about that in the coming slides as well. But this is very important to understand. Mental health is as simple as that, right? So let's clear that air. Mental health is not complex. Right? Mental health is as similar to our physical health. Unfortunately, we don't give the same importance, but we'll talk about why it is important. Anybody has any thoughts? Why is it important?
Suppose if your mental health is not good, then definitely you are not going to take good decisions.
Okay. If your mental health is not right, not sound, your decisions will get affected, is what this gentleman here is saying. Okay, good. Anybody else? Couple of more.
You cannot innovate, you cannot behave with the other person.
You cannot innovate, which is very, very, very critical, right? Your creativity juices stop flowing, which is very, very valid, absolutely right. One more answer. You'll be more stressed, okay? Yeah, it will impact your physical body. Sorry, somebody was saying here. Okay, everyone around you will get affected. Okay, so that's why mental health is very, very important. Okay, so I'll also want to talk about little bit in terms of what is happening today with mental health, right? While the importance of mental health is something we'll talk about, but today, where are we on mental health, right? The first thing I want to ask is, do you all believe that we treat mental health and physical health in the same breath? No, absolutely not. Okay. Okay, that's also an important question for us to answer. Why are we not doing that? Yes.
Why I'm thinking that how to map that? So that is the first question coming to the mind. If I will map, then I will definitely solve.
Okay.
I don't know what is the measurement criteria.
Okay. So one of the questions is why I'm not treating physical health, mental in the same breath is I'm not able to identify, map. The word he's using is map, which basically means that in physical health, if my arm is broken, it's very evident.
Pain. Lot of pain is there.
Right. Pain is there, I can feel it. On the mental health, maybe, I don't feel it, I don't even know. Right? That is one of the biggest issue here when the reason why we are not treating mental and physical in the same breath. Absolutely. Any other reason you believe? Okay, we are very, what is the right word I should use? You know, you're saying we are shying away from not using it, okay? But then again, the follow-up question is, why are we shying away? I'm not worried about saying that I have a broken leg, I can't come to work today. Ah, it is not acceptable in the society, right? So that's why we call it as social stigma and taboo, unfortunately. And this is culturally being evolved, right? One of the statements I'm sure all of you have heard here, right? If you are a man, you should not cry. We sh- see, there is a lot of these discriminations which has been weaved into our culture over centuries together, and that is what we are carrying on now. But anyway, I think here's a wonderful opportunity for us to break some of this, change some of those aspects, right? So one of the things I want all of you to, tell me is that, my goal here is to just not come spend 70 minutes, but then my goal is to make huge impact in all of you. And one of the impact I'm going to make is change your approach and mindset towards mental health, right? Make you the ambassadors of change when it comes to looking at mental health. Are you all with me? Yes. All right. Can I hear one more time? Yes. All right. Excellent. Okay. So now, social stigma and taboo we talked about, right? What else is the challenge? Why we don't treat them the same way? Anything else you can think of?
I don't want to think myself as weak.
Okay. I don't want to come across as somebody weak. When I talk about my mental challenges, people will start looking me that I am weak, right? So that is also a good point. Okay. So the gentleman there says is people will start taking advantage of you knowing your, mental health situation. That is also something possible. Yeah, yeah. The
You can feel that if I tell, I'm not going to get any solution.
okay. So maybe I won't get any solution even if I talk about it. People will brush me off, right? Highly possible, right? And that is very true today. In most of the places, what happens is if somebody says, I'm having this issue, I'm constantly thinking about it, it's worrying me, it's bothering me, I'm not able to focus on work. I'll say, hey, what nonsense, it's all in your head, man, get over it. That is a normal statement we all have heard, right? Nobody tells you, when I have a broken arm, nobody says, hey, forget it, yeah, it'll all get right, you just go and work. Nobody says. Immediately they say, did you meet an ortho? Did you get an X-ray? Did you get an MRI? You want to make sure that there's no bone, broken bone, all of that, right? When it comes to a broken arm, there is so much noise around it. But then, yeah. So all of this again triggers down to something called lack of awareness and acceptance, right? So all of these are interconnected, by the way, right? Because of stigma and taboo, the awareness is less. Because of less awareness, I can't accept the fact that what is going on. And to go back to why I can't accept this, because of all the reasons we talked about, right? I'm worried about people will label me. Ye pagal hai, right? Yeah, something is off with him, right? And especially in a workplace, can you imagine? Right? Suddenly you're working in a team of 10, and then you talk about these challenges openly. The remaining 9 people, how would they look at you? Right? They will have a suspicion approach to every aspect. And if you do anything wonderfully, beautifully done, surprise. Oh, in spite of this, he has done it. Wow. Right? There is no real appreciation that somebody has taken effort to get through it and done it. But then they'll be more sarcastic. Right? So we are afraid of being labeled and judged. And by the way, do you all know how long it takes to judge somebody? Fraction of seconds, absolutely. I'm not going to ask what you all judged about me when I walked in. Keep it to yourself. Maybe I'll change the judgment by end of the session. But that's something we should keep it to ourselves, okay? So lack of acceptance and awareness is also key in the mental health spectrum today, why we don't treat physical health and mental in the same breath, right? And finally, there is one more reason why we don't access mental health solutions, services, support. Can you all guess what that could be?
Nobody knows how to case that one, map that one, and how to cure that one.
Okay. Again, it goes to lack of awareness bucket. But there is one more, most important, I think, I'm sure among all the problem statement, that probably is the most important problem statement for all of us, right? Which is basically the affordability. It's quite expensive. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it, right? And I'm not going to ask that question because people will be thinking if I answer that question, people know that I visited a psychologist, right? So obviously it's a trick question, so I'm not going to ask the trick question, right? It's quite expensive, right? A psychologist in a metro city like Kolkata or any other metro city could cost anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 rupees for a session, right? A lot of money. And what are we used to? We are used to going and meeting a general physician, common cold, flu, fever. Yeah, 600 rupees could be an average consultation fee. Another 200, 300 for some physically, something I can see, I can feel, I can eat, some medicines, maybe an X-ray. I could probably finish everything between 1200 max. And within a week, I start feeling better. Right? So I'm comparing that to this, right? Hey, fever 1200, cold 1200, this feeling about, low or sad will cost a lot more. Doesn't make sense to me. And
It is not costing that much. Even the people will tell us, "Pagal ho doctor ke paas jaate pagal ho gaya." That is the society will tell in that.
yes, that is the true fact here, right? So we are not, it doesn't sit well inside our head that we should spend that kind of money. So basically, what happens, even if you, say, you know what, I'm okay, I'm